Hi, and welcome to the USN Travel Talk. And this is a travel talk we do with different hotels, destinations, and DMCs around the world to contribution so we can see how the world is opening up for tourism again. And today I am speaking with Daniel Gregori, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yes, from Destination Asia in Thailand. And he's the head of business development. And we're going to talk a little bit how Thailand is today, maybe a little what has been going on during the pandemic, and a little bit on how future can be, and also what kind of, we see bookings coming in, of course, for 2021 or 22 maybe. Also, maybe Daniel can give us a little bit of insight on, what this will mean for travel agents as well to do that, what bookings or future bookings will do for them as well. And so, Daniel, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Sawadee Krap, everybody. And, I hope you're all keeping safe and sound.
Yes. I think you're based in Bangkok, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah, I came here about 18 years ago as a backpacker with intention to stay 3 months only, and I liked it so much I eventually stayed. So that was 18 years ago. Yeah, it's a great place to visit. Yeah.
And at the moment, you are sitting on the 16th floor, you said, in Bangkok.
That's right, on my place. Yeah, I'm at my place, working from home today. Basically, we split half of the days, half of the week. We are going to the office, and then the other half we are staying at home. So we are contributing to, exactly. Yeah. That's what most companies are doing right now.
Okay. And how do you feel Bangkok is at the moment? Like when you are going out and stuff like that?
Well, I'll tell you something that basically when the crisis started, I had the option of going back home to Italy. I'm actually Italian. I decided to stay here, and I made a great choice because, you probably heard that Bangkok and Thailand in general cope with the crisis very, very well. So I felt very safe when, the epidemic started, and I continue to feel very safe. In fact, Thailand was also named one of the safest destinations to travel to, both during the crisis and after the crisis. That's on the account of how well Thailand coped with COVID-19.
And then, like you said, you feel safe, and you go out. You can go out and go to restaurants and do shopping.
That is correct. Right now, there was a period between March and let's say July when we were very strict about social distancing, and opening times for certain, venues. Right now, life is back to normal. The only difference is the wearing of the mask. Wherever you are in a closed space, whether it is a restaurant or a bar or the SkyTrain or the MRT, the underground, that's where you need to wear a mask. And I really like the fact that everybody complies with that particular rule. Nobody discusses it. Everybody, probably because we experienced SARS before, everybody is aware that wearing a mask makes a difference, and everybody complies with that particular, instruction. So it's a very safe place, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. I think we're trying to keep it to our 30 minutes because that's what people might have as well. I see we have a few people on live, and I think a few are probably going to watch it afterwards, which they normally do. We know we have the same thing here. We are less people in the offices and still have a little bit to do. But we try to give as a good confirmation. I think information, what we will try to make is for people when they're using Destination Asia Thailand as well, is giving the security of being able to do forward bookings. I think that's a little bit on what we also will tell today. So I think we're going to just start on the slides, and then we talk around the slides. I will ask questions, and if people are on listening in, they want to come with questions, they're more than welcome to do that as well. So,
right. So, this is a document that Destination Asia Thailand, as well as all of the other Destination Asia offices within the network put together, right? Basically, we, in spite of the fact that Thailand has done so well, as a DMC, as a ground handler, we have put together a number of measures to reassure clients when they travel to Thailand, to make sure that basically they're not going to be affected by the virus. So, if we go to the next slide, we start with basically the guiding principle, which cover protection and barriers, sanitization, physical distancing, and training and monitoring. And all these 4 principles are applied to all the touch points we have with the client, starting with the airport, which will be the next slide.
Mm. Can I ask you, this is something which is all over the Destination Asia organization. So all the countries,
That's right.
We know we have 11, country
That's right.
offices.
Yeah.
So all the country offices is having those 4 kind of guiding principles. And
that's right.
Applied it. So it's just good to know for the other ones as well that
It
is
Yeah.
So we can start with the airport there.
Starting at the airport, basically, this is subject to change because obviously depending on who's allowed into the country at any given time, then regulation might actually change. But the main thing to notice right now, to point out, is that basically, again, is wearing on the mask. You will be hearing me going back to the fact that people have to wear the mask. Right now, the borders of Thailand are closed. There are only certain people, international travelers, that are allowed into the country. However, as a domestic traveler, I've been traveling domestically, and again, the wearing of the mask is being reinforced, and temperature, the taking of temperature is being actually taken everywhere at several stages across the airport. So those are the main basically takeaway from this.
So if I was in Thailand, or if like you, when you were traveling last time, I know you were on a fam trip actually.
That's right. You remember that.
Exactly. So, for example, when you were flying, are you going into, let's see, Bangkok airport, and you're going to fly, of course, domestically at this stage.
That's right.
So you would, of course, it's a compulsory to wear a mask, so you will have the mask anyway on you. So when you go into the airport, can anybody go in? So if you had someone who's going to say goodbye to you, would that be able to follow you into the airport and say goodbye like a normal situation? Or
at this stage, there will be, but bear in mind that the borders are closed. In Thailand, we only had a total of 3,700 cases. That's in total right now. So if you're in Thailand right now, chances are, you're clean, you don't have COVID. Having said that, temperature is being taken everywhere, wherever you travel on the SkyTrain, wherever you travel on the underground, whenever you enter a venue, as well as when you enter the airport premises. The temperature is being taken, and then you are reminded, if you don't wear it, you're reminded to wear a mask.
Exactly. So when you go into the airport, basically, let's say we travel domestically, of course, now, and we do what we can do. So you be in temperature before you come in. They check you have the mask, and then you go in. And then
you go in. Yeah, that's right.
And then you just check in as normal.
You check in as normal. Obviously, there are some social distancing signs, which again, everybody respect. So I'm going to be about 1 meter behind the person in front of me. The person behind me is going to be 1 meter behind. And again, it goes down to the fact that everybody is very respectful of those rules and regulations, because let's remind that Thailand the culture over here is very mindful of the other. You do things not to protect yourself, but to protect the others as well. Exactly. And that's the basically, this is one of the main reasons Thailand has been doing so well as well.
Okay, so just imagine then, if you're coming with an international airline, you would, if you're landing then at Bangkok airport again, we're back to Bangkok airport. And of course, most people will land in Bangkok.
Yeah, that's right.
Coming in. So you would, when you're going out of the airplane, of course, you have to wear your mask, because most airlines also are compliant at wearing a mask. You have that on anyway. So you go in and you do the exact same procedure is coming. Will you be scanned for temperature somewhere on the way to immigration?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You scan for temperature. I remember I was scanned for temperature. They got machines, right? So they are there and you don't even notice them. So as you enter the terminal building, you scan for temperature, and there are different points through the journey where you're actually scanned for temperature. So there are multiple measures being taken on that front. And then another difference I noticed is that when there is a bus picking up clients from the aircraft and then moving them to the terminal area, this mostly applies to domestic travel. The number of passengers allowed on the bus is actually reduced. 50% capacity. So that's an additional, provision that the airports are making to comply with social distancing.
That's interesting, because I remember when I landed in Copenhagen from Germany, that was in September, they crammed everybody into the same bus.
No, that won't happen in here. It won't happen in here.
Okay,
it won't happen in here. Yeah.
So that's basically you're doing it's the same way for everybody when they're arriving or departing. I would say just that you have to wear a mask. Temperature scanning is done throughout your journey, or basically your way moving through the airport. So you will be measured, and also there will be less people on either transfer buses. And probably then the distancing, you have to be aware that you just keep your distance, basically.
That's right. Then something else that is happening at the airport as well as everywhere in the country, as a matter of fact, is the provision of free alcohol. Basically, you can sanitize your hands wherever you are, and that's provided for free. Again, whether it is the underground, whether it is a bus, whether it is a taxi, whether it is a shop, you find free hand sanitizer everywhere. It's provided for free, which is something that we do on our vehicle as well, as a matter of fact.
Exactly. So that's the airport. So it's anything on there? Is all the airports open at the moment as well? All the domestic?
No, all of because whether they're international or domestic, they all handle domestic flights. So all the airports are open right now, but obviously limited capacity. You know. As I said, I was at Dom Muang recently, and it was fairly empty. Because the only clients that we can handle right now are those that actually are located in Thailand, because again the borders are closed. Nobody is allowed to enter, no international tourists at least.
Exactly. Okay, so then we move on to transport, because now we pretend we've been able to travel to Thailand.
That's right. Okay.
Let's pretend we done it, and we landed in at the airport. We gone through immigration. We picked our luggage, and of course. So Destination Asia, meet and greet. They will be meeting. Are they able to go inside by the luggage, or do you have to on international, or are they waiting outside the?
No, we have a meeting point. Nobody's actually allowed to go into the luggage collection. So when clients collect their luggage, they go out in the custom area, and then that's where they meet our guide. So the guide will be wearing gloves. They will be wearing a mask, as well as the driver. The driver will be manning the luggage with gloves again. Hand sanitizer is going to be available on every single vehicle. And when it comes to sitting coach, we have a capacity of 50%. So everything is reduced by 50%. To allow social distancing, basically. So when we were accommodating, for example, 12 people, now we're accommodating only 6 people. Obviously, for private transfer, that's a different matter, because you travel with your own family, so you can occupy all the seats available in a normal transfer. But the main factors here are the fact that we provide hand sanitizer for free. Driver and guide are wearing a mask and gloves, and obviously we disinfect vehicles before every single use. And when it comes to public transportation, I mentioned the taking of temperature. I mentioned wearing masks. Something that is very much let's say implemented, pushed, is the fact that nobody is allowed to speak. There is a reminder on the SkyTrain telling people, please do not speak to each other or do not speak on the phone. And again, that's something that everybody in here complies to. So when you're traveling on a public transportation, complete silence. Yeah, you might be playing on your phone, but nobody's speaking to each other. In fact, nobody's facing each other. They're all facing different directions. Those are little things that, they might annoy somebody, but in here follow through and again contribute to the success that Thailand has been having as a COVID-free destination, basically.
So on public transport, because you got the train going out or the metro kind of going.
That's right.
And do they block seats as well there, so you're not allowed to sit next to each other?
Well, right now, because that was something that was happening at the beginning, right now, there are no block seats anymore. But that's again, because of the fact that we had not been having cases for a long time. The few cases that we had in Thailand, they were all imported. There were Thai people returning from abroad. There is no, there is no internal, contagion. Basically, it's not something that comes from inside. Where the cases we have, they all come from outside, somebody that is coming back. So there are no block seats anymore. There were, not anymore, but everybody's complying with the other regulations, which are wearing a mask, not speaking to each other, and facing the opposite direction.
Okay. So just remembering that. And of course, on your private transportation, like you said, you still have the product saying seating coach, so they still can do that. They will have that. And you have, of course, private transport as well with your vehicle.
That's right. Yeah. Private transport, so people can have the option. Basically, private transportation, private services, they are, to capacity, where a sitting coach, 50% capacity.
Yeah, cool. And then we go, of course, because now we're getting in touch with people, and that's your guides or your meet and greet people or actually your staff. And I think people are a little bit, also concerned about, okay, what happens with the staff, of course, because suddenly I'm in touch with someone I don't know, who is outside my bubble or is not my family, and I know people get a little bit, concerned about that as well.
That's right. Again, wearing of the mask, wearing of gloves, taking temperature before they start the day, and then reporting back to the office on what happened, with every single transfer or tour they operated. Obviously, something else is that we stop providing plastic bottles. We don't do that anymore to avoid, the spread through object, the passing of object, but it's pretty much the same criteria that apply to transfers.
Okay. So it's the same for so every guide or every staff, basically, your staff or every staff in destination is taking the temperature every mormorning or every
that's right.
when they check into their work.
That's right. And I mean, it's we do it, but then it's also redundant, because whenever you enter in a hotel, whenever you enter into a shop, whenever you enter into a public transportation, the temperature is also taken there, So temperature, wherever you go to, temperature is being taken. So chances are that basically, if you're free of high temperature in one place, you're gonna be free in the other place as well,
Of course.
throughout the course of a day.
Yeah, and it's the same here. I actually went to the doctor the other day because of an ear infection, and she said, "Do you have a temperature?" I said, "Not for the past 10 times I've been taken today."
So within the same day, right? Yeah.
So not for the past 10, and she laughed. So of course, yes, we are taking temperature like up to like 10 or 15 times a day, depending on many shops or whatever you've been doing. So So I think, but it's good as well that it is that security measurement that all staff is being temperature measured every morning when they come into work. Because of course, even though they were measured yesterday, there can be happening something today.
Exactly. And then in terms of visiting places, basically we are again, now we don't have an international tourist in-house just yet, but the idea is to start visiting places during time where there are fewer people, so rearranging things in that, that way to avoid, crowds and overcrowded situations, at least as much as we can. So something extra is going to be added in terms of measure when international tourists are going to be allowed back into the country.
Okay, so that's Destination Asia itself doing that measurements, or is it everybody in terms of that?
It's actually everybody. Now, all these guidelines were actually agreed by all the DMCs. Where there is a network of DMCs that work together towards promoting Thailand as a tourist destination. So all these guidelines were agreed upon by everybody, were agreed upon by the Tourism Authority of Thailand as well, and they are implemented by all these DMC, basically this core of DMCs.
Exactly, but you will still kind of try to visit it when there is less people, because if everybody goes for the same, timings where it's less people, then suddenly everybody is on that same timing.
Oh yeah, of course. That's something that is going to be rearranged on a case-by-case basis as the guides feedback to us, and they have to be feedback to us. That's when our operation team is going to take decisions, because if we start going towards the end of the day rather than the beginning of the day, but then we notice that everybody else is doing the same thing, that we might rearrange our operations accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there anything else you'd like to do on the traveling part of the guides?
Not well, right now. It's all, as I said, it's all theory because, as I said, we don't have international tourists. We haven't been able to see what the implementation of how successful the implementation of these rules are. But what our listeners should bear in mind is the fact that we are very flexible. This is what's in place right now, based on theory, what we studied. Once we are on the ground and we assess that things might work otherwise, then we are going to implement changes. And this document actually is available online. And as we implement changes, those changes will be reflected into the document, into this document we are looking at right now.
Exactly.
It's accessible online and it's updated live.
Exactly, and it's if people look in the chat, there is a link there, links which you can kind of copy and add to your browser, and then add it to your favorites, because then when you click on it, it will be updated continuously. So
that's right.
When hopefully when Thailand is opening up, that will be then implemented with the new regulations or updates as well. So moving on to the hotels, which is absolutely an interesting situation as well.
Well, with hotels now, as you probably know, Thailand has plenty of hotels. What we do right now, I'm not gonna go over the details of what the hotels have implemented, but what I'll tell you is that basically there is a certificate which is called SHA, issued by the Tourism Authority of Thailand, and we decided to work only with the hotels that have obtained that particular certificate, which is called SHA. So exactly, safety and health, something, I don't remember the last word, what the last word is. But anyway, including ourselves, we are SHA certificate, and we work with only the hotels that are SHA certificate, basically comply with the regulation dictated by the World Tourism Organization, as well as from the Thai Tourist Authority.
Okay. If we continue our journey, like now we come to the airport, we gone through the airport, we met the meet and greet, and we gone by transport, either public or we did a private transport, and of course then we coming to the hotel. So like you said, of course it's a little bit, but when I'm arriving to a hotel, one of the hotels, maybe then in Bangkok, if you're still in Bangkok, what would kind of be the general policy if you're looking at a certificate or a certified hotel?
Again, all the staff need to be wearing masks and gloves, especially the servers, people working in bars and restaurants. Guests are taking the temperature upon entering the hotel premises, and again, they're invited to wear the mask whenever they are, in the public areas. Hand sanitizer available everywhere, in every venue, in every toilet, in every restaurant, on every floor, in every room. And those are just some of the measures that are being implemented by the hotel as well. Obviously, social distancing when it comes to dining venues. I can provide you a few pictures if you like as well. And those are the basic criteria that hoteliers had to meet in order to obtain a particular certification. And again, all of the hotels we work with have actually complied and are actually following those instructions.
So when I'm checking in, so I'm going over, and of course I'm handing my passport, and you're getting your keys. And is that getting more electronic in many of the hotels, or are we still doing manual kind of work on that?
It's more where it's possible. There is a lot. Thailand is very, from that sense, is very technologically advanced. So wherever there is a QR code available, everything works through a QR code. But they are promoting, they are limiting the number of occasions where there is a manual exchange of something, whether it is a key card, whether it's a credit card, pre-check-in, for example, is available right now, so you don't have to pass on your passport all the times. And those are all measures that are being implemented.
Okay. And then when I'm going to my room, do they sanitize my luggage, or do they...
They don't sanitize the luggage, but they're obviously the room. Now, again, I'm not going to go into details because I don't know what to tell you, but the standard of cleanliness now are a lot stricter than they ever were. And Thai hotels were very clean before. There was never an issue with cleanliness in Thailand, and this is even better right now.
Exactly. So then, and of course, your rooms are sanitized and clean as well. And you have the option of asking for, turn down service or cleaning of the room.
Yeah.
So
and that's something that I do, actually, something that I do myself as well. Not because I'm paranoid or anything, but given the situation, even though Thailand, as I said, is very safe, I always call off the turn down service, and if I stay somewhere, I request to clean my room every other day. There's no need for me to trust somebody to clean in my room, every day. So those are concessions that, can very well comply to if a client wants,
Exactly. And a few things on the hotels, swimming pools are open.
Swimming pools are open,
Yeah. And the gym.
Everything is as of now. Everything is operating normally because we don't have a flux of international tourists coming in.
Yeah.
Now, when international tourists come in, and should there ever be a peak in COVID cases, then obviously things are going to be reviewed. Maybe using the swimming pool is going to have to be pre-booked. There are going to be some times where hotels are going to allow a number of people per certain time. That was the case when the country started reopening in July and August. Using the gym was limited to a couple of hours per day, and you had to pre-book. This is not the case anymore because we don't have any cases, but should new cases come back, then obviously those provisions are going to be re-implemented. They're going to be imposed again.
Yeah. So at the moment, everything is open. And is there any restrictions on numbers in the gym, or is it just?
No, everything operates normally. But again, I go back to the fact that basically we don't have any cases, any internal cases.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and back to and for the restaurants, is there any limitation on the restaurants on the capacity there, or are they?
As of now, no. Everything is back to normal, but we had, and then again, I'm happy to share some picture when we have those provision in place. Basically, each restaurant has screens, to separate diners from each other. Or there was one table, and then a table full, then a table empty, and then a table full. They were alternating things. So they are ready to implement things, provision, and measures as the situation dictates.
Okay. Cool. And another thing I was just thinking, is buffets back? Because that's always the big question. I know here in Dubai, we have buffet, but they are being served buffet. So you can't go into it yourself.
That's exactly what's been implemented in Thailand right now. The buffet were amazing in Thailand. They're truly amazing. So there is still a buffet line. However, diners are not allowed to pick up food by themselves. Again, there is a screen separating the diner from the buffet. And then behind the screen, there is a server wearing mask and gloves, picking up the item for you and delivering them to the table.
Okay.
So you still have the buffet, but you're not allowed to touch food like you used to.
Well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw there is a person who's Atadia here is asking, and it says, according to today's edition of Bangkok's Post, the National Vaccine Institute says the country may receive the first batch of vaccines in June. Do you believe the government will be opening up for inbound travel before then? I then speak about opening up, nothing like the very limited number now allowed to arrive.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that I can't answer that question. My guess is vaccine in June, you mean 2021? Because that's even later than they're talking about reopening the country right now.
Exactly.
As of now,
what are they talking about reopening? What time?
Again, there is never. It's all speculation. It's all a rumor right now. But they're talking about keeping the country closed up until April 2021.
Okay.
They might be doing some concession because remember now we have that particular long stay visa scheme, which doesn't really fit most travelers as a matter of fact. Probably retiree pensioners, but no, you and me, we have to work and people have kids, have to go to school. So that particular scheme doesn't really apply to most travelers. But that's something at least, Yeah, as of now, they're saying the country will not open until April 2021. But again, it's just speculation. Nobody is confirming otherwise.
No.
So let's see what happens.
Let's see, exactly. So, that's with everything, if numbers keep maybe the way it is and they see that measurements are working, they might say, okay, let's open up, or maybe they do corridors. Like I saw Singapore is doing some corridors at the moment.
Yeah, like we call it travel bubble in here, as a matter of fact. Yeah, but it also depends on the source market, because the issues that we might open the border, but then there are countries that require a quarantine when people go back. And that is gonna, deter people from traveling altogether, Also, we are very much at the mercy of the airlines. It really depends on what the airlines want to do, So there are a lot of factors playing a role in a decision.
Yeah, I just asking if Tadeu found it was answering what he asked about.
Right.
I think for hotels we done, because like you said, at the moment everything is open at the moment, but of course that can change when they're opening up for international tourism. They might put some more limitations in place then because of limiting.
That's right. But what guests should be reassured about is the fact that should there be new rules and regulations, we have implemented them before. There is a plan, and they're gonna be put into place fast. This is what we are gonna do, and this is what's gonna happen. Exactly. So there are no. The government won't be wasting any time in thinking about it. They know exactly what they have to do, depending on what the situation dictates.
Yeah. I'll see we're coming close to around the minutes at the moment. But what I thought is, we mentioned restaurants and like you said with the shops. Is there any numbers of how many people can be in a shop at the moment?
Again, right now, because of the current situation and the fact that we don't have any cases, all the shops are open. Basically, we went back, with the exception of wearing a mask, we went back to the same situation we had before COVID. Okay, but should the situation change, then we have provisions in place.
Okay. And do you allow to do any big events and stuff in Thailand?
No, that's not allowed just yet, unfortunately.
No. So what's the biggest event you can have, or how many people can you be gathered at the moment?
We don't have a specific number now. As of now, because of the protest happening in Bangkok, the biggest gathering you can have is actually 5 people, but that's due to other reasons, not because of COVID. Exactly. But then I would like to point out the fact, if you look at the pictures, you probably have noticed that even though there are hundreds of people gathering together in the street to protest against the government, everybody is wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Which is something, to give credit to the people for. Yeah.
Absolutely. Another thing, maybe just to mention for the restaurant, is because when you're going into a restaurant, they do track and trace. Of course,
that's right.
We are not very familiar with, I think, in Scandinavia, because there is not much track and trace done at any of the restaurants or cafes in Scandinavia. So what happens when I'm coming in I want to go into a restaurant, they take in my temperature.
They remind you to wear a mask if you're not wearing a mask. Yeah. And then you have to scan a QR code, which I know a lot of Westerners are not familiar with. So what our guides will probably do upon the transfer from the airport is to instruct you to download this particular application called Line, and then explain you how it works. Because in here, we don't fill up a piece of paper which contributes to the spread, because everybody will be using the same pen. So you just scan the QR code of the premises, the venue you're entering, and that happens when you enter and when you exit. And everything happens through taking a picture of that particular QR code on your phone. So that's an instruction that will be given to guests upon entering the country when they're provided with a transfer. That's something that our guide will be explaining.
Okay, cool.
Which makes things a lot more easier.
Exactly. And they, of course, register your details in terms of your name and your telephone number and your contact details. And because you need to scan it when you go out again. So they
when you
know
go out again, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know exactly which period you've been into that. In case there is a COVID, case being in that place, they can track everybody who was in that exact same period.
And again, it sounds something that is very annoying, but you just really quick, as you've been taking a temperature, you take a picture of the barcode or the QR code, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and it does save lives. So everybody's happy to comply. Everybody near at least is happy to comply with that particular regulation.
Yeah. Okay, I think that was done. And then you said we, of course, have the link for the COVID report site, which you have online and which you're updating on a regular basis. Is that for only Thailand, or is it?
No, there is a tab for all the 11 Destination Asia covers. So whenever you click on the link, you can go to the destination you're interested in, and then the information provided in there is being updated, because it's updated live, it's updated daily, weekly, monthly, depending on how the situation changes.
Okay. I know, Daniel, we actually had a video which is why Thailand is beating COVID, but what I will do, I will rather maybe post the link on the chat. Do you have the link to that video?
I can find it. Just bear with me a second.
Yeah. So what we do is rather instead we send that link on the chat, because then we keep it to a little bit over 30 minutes at least. And it makes people being able to watch, and then they can watch it afterwards, because it's a very good video. It's about Hawaii. I think it's an American who is explaining why Thailand has, managed the pandemic so well. But basically, you have explained it yourself very well during our talk anyway. So I think he's just repeating you.
That's right. It's a fantastic video. I find it very, very useful. It gives a different perspective on things. Some things you might know, you might be aware of, some other things you weren't aware of. I suggest everybody have a look at it. So, there is another one. Oh yes, there it is. Yeah. That's the one.
I saw that one. So it's there, and basically it gives you 5 reasons why Thailand has, like you said, the lack of contact. As an Italian, you'll kiss on cheeks and handshake and everything, while Thai do the greeting of the wife.
They keep exactly. And I find it very interesting that TAT, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, has actually been promoting this social behavior during COVID, as a way to protect yourself from COVID. And it does contribute, as a matter of fact, because think about that. Bangkok is a city, is a teeny metropolis of, depending on whom you talk to, 15 to 7 million people. We are all on top of each other. But then again, through the lack of physical contact and the fact that we wear masks, we have managed to stay clear of COVID.
Yeah. So I think just as an ending, they have the video so you can have, and just as an ending for those travel agents who's watching us as well, I think it's good to understand that if they are, because people are afraid, are we losing money? Are we, how is the booking situation? What do I do? People maybe want to travel in summer 21, or maybe in Easter or autumn 21. They're looking a year ahead and planning there. And money, of course, Thailand is the third biggest, Nordic is the third biggest market to Thailand. So there is a lot of Scandinavians who are just waiting to travel. And then if travel agency then book through you, and of course to Destination Asia in Thailand, how is you doing with the confirmations, deposits, cancellations, just quickly?
I'm actually glad you asked that question, because my recommendation is that if a client wants to go to Thailand, go ahead with the reservation, go ahead and make a booking, because Destination Asia, as well as all our supplier partners, have shown plenty of flexibility. So the cancellation penalties, the payment penalties, the payment conditions have become very flexible. So you don't have to pay until you actually a few days before departure. Now it might be a few days, a week or 14 days, but the payment condition have become very flexible. And if clients end up not being able to travel for a COVID-19 related reason, you're never going to lose the money. The money are either going to be refunded or kept as a credit. So my suggestion is, if the clients want to go to Thailand, even though you don't know what the situation is, when the borders are going to open, go ahead and book it, secure those fantastic deals that are available throughout the kingdom right now. And then when it comes to paying, you can travel, then you cancel the booking, or even if you have paid for that particular reservation, most hotels, most suppliers, and for sure Destination Asia will be happy to either refund the money or keep those money as a credit for future booking. So the money will never be lost. Okay. Thailand, understand that that's a situation which is out of our hands. Yeah. So make that booking, secure those deals, and then when it comes to paying, you can make the final decision. The reservation can be canceled. And whenever you make a booking, we as Destination Asia, we will let you know what the payment deadlines are. Yeah. So you're aware of the fact that, okay, this is the time I need to cancel it or confirm it. But make booking and secure that deal. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and for the travel agents who's watching or listening afterwards as well, we have Jonas in our office. So he is handling the Destination Asia, and I just put his email on top there as well. So anyone who wants to get in contact, just email Jonas, and they will work out what works best to get with Daniel there, and they find what's going to work best for you as well. So I think that's a good deal.
In terms of product as well, we have a lot of new problems. Basically, we've been very quiet over these months, but we have managed to review our inventory, our product line. So we have plenty of new ideas. A lot of people don't want to go to crowded places anymore, like Phuket and Samui. They want off the beaten track islands or destination. We can offer those. So get in touch with me and my colleagues, and we will be happy to, come up with something suitable. Bearing in mind that we need to be flexible when it comes to cancellations and payments, which we are.
Good. Thank you very much, Daniel, for doing this. And hopefully we can talk to you later and actually talk about products. Now we're just an update what's happening in Thailand and how the situation is. And then next time, hopefully we can talk about a bit of products as well.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.